everyone, this is Beacon Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about the Joker sequel. And following the recent trailer that was released, asks as to whether the sequel will be anywhere near as successful as the first film. Now I'm sure everybody knows what this is, but just in case there's anybody watching who doesn't know, the film's sequel, titled Joker Folie A Deux, which is a French expression for the folly of two, or indeed the madness of two, is the follow-up to the Joker film from 2019, based on the iconic DC Comics villain. The first film was an Elseworld variant origin story, showing the Joker originally as failed comedian Arthur Fleck, who after facing constant dismissal and antagonism within society, descends into madness and acts of violence. Despite being a comic book character, this was much more of a character study, a psychological drama inspired very much so by the Martin Scorsese movies Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, and also taking elements from the famous comic book arcs The Dark Knight Returns and also The Killing Joke. The first film defied all expectations, grossing over $1 billion at the box office from a comparatively very small budget of around $50 to $70 million. Amidst both a pre-hype and controversy around its release, the movie gained strong critical reception, especially from Joaquin Phoenix's lead performance, for which he would go on to gain the Oscar for Best Actor. Now this sequel is due for release on October the 4th, 2024. And as well as there being a huge anticipation, there also remains a lot of questions. The first one being the movie's huge $200 million budget. Now whilst we understand that the salary rates for both Joaquin Phoenix and director Todd Phillips would have been raised exponentially after the success of the first film, and generally sequels to hit movies do always have a higher budget. But for this film to have the same level of cost as a big budget Marvel superhero film, for a story that really should be a very low scale character driven drama with no effects, car chases or explosions, is very confusing to me. We then have the inclusion of Harley Quinn, a character who we all know was the one single person who was able to develop some sort of complex relationship with the Joker. And the fact that she will also be played by musician and singer Lady Gaga also raised some interesting questions and potential issues. But the real head scratcher for a lot of people is that this movie will be a heavily musical themed, with a rumored number of around 15 cover songs being played throughout the story, again raising several questions and potential issues over the tone of the film. Still deemed a standalone entry with no connections to the upcoming James Gunn DC universe, you do ask as to where exactly this story will go after the way that the first film ended. Now of course it will focus so heavily on the dynamic and relationship between Joker and Harley Quinn, but is that really strong enough material to sustain a story for around 2 hours? So we then talk about the first trailer, which was released late Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on where you are in the world. And firstly, as an individual trailer, I think it was fine. It was very well shot, having that real clean, crisp, sharp HD look about it, very well put together and edited. The music interchanges worked a lot, a real combination of the big showy theatrical, cabaret musical type of tone, which was emphasised with the multiple scenes of both Joker and Harley dancing around in different locations, and that was contrasted with a much more darker, melancholic score, looking to embody that much more tragic, sympathetic feeling that was very much intended with the first film. And visually, I think the trailer looks great, very colourful, dynamic, lots of energy, and whilst we didn't get the characters singing themselves, the musical element and vibes are clearly there to see. And I've seen some reactions online referring to this as a La La Land variant with Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, if you remember, from 2017. And yes, that's very appropriate when we look at all of the scenes here. This of course will be a much more darker take of that type of movie. So aesthetically everything looks very good. But we then get past that and try and take a look what's actually underneath. And this trailer does make me feel as if this story is going to be all style and all flash and nothing else. Now story-wise, from what we can see, Arthur is still imprisoned, which kind of contradicts the way that the first film ended. Maybe he managed to escape and then got rearrested again, we'll have to wait and see. But we do see in the later scenes him encountering Harley for the first time, who appears to be another mental patient. So because this is an Elseworld take, we assume that we won't get the dynamic of Harley being a psychiatrist, steadily being corrupted by the fascination of the Joker, which is the original and most compelling aspect of the character. And I think you lose so much when you take away that element from Harley Quinn, but again we could get some sort of backstory which refers to her having some sort of medical profession. And the trailer does indicate that we will see the progression of the relationship between Harley and Arthur. We have those early scenes where they're meeting for the first time, So we should expect a lot of more smaller, intimate character moments, which will be crucial to convince us of the bond between the two personalities. And then after that, we get a whole mixture of scenes of them dancing in the prison, dancing together on stage, running outside. We see one moment when they're dancing amongst a media. And this is where I worry that the movie is just going to be an exploration of their fantasy. That all of the outside scenes are just really what's going on in their heads. That it will just be one musical number after another, but in terms of an actual plot, it's going to be actually nothing. Now, you can have elements where we do indeed tap into the imagination of their psyche, and then have a main narrative much more resembling a Bonnie and Clyde, where we see the two characters on the run as the police are trying to pursue them. Personally, I would find that far more compelling than just having this exhibition of a mental fantasy, and then at the end, we see the two are just locked up in prison together. I think that by having some sort of real world situation where we do see them going on a crime spree will add a lot more urgency and tension. Especially after the way that the first film ended, I think a lot of audiences are already going to be savvy to the fact that a lot of these scenes could be just a mental fabrication. Now, whilst many people will be appealed to that type of storyline, I do think if we do get some sort of resolution where everything is just basically in their heads, I think it's going to take away any lasting impact or statement that the movie is trying to make. Will we end up getting just a lot of montages and dance sequences and songs that's all overindulgent, well choreographed, mixed in with a lot more R-rated violence? We will wait and see. But I really hope that there's some sort of deeper message here to really add to a much more compelling storyline and hopefully pack a lot of emotional weight. Now, whilst I felt the first film did have a lot of its merits, I really did think that there was a massive amount of overhype. The character of Arthur Fleck came across far less sympathetic and much more as petty and an attention seeker rather than a fully fledged personality that we should really show a lot of empathy for. Any potential commentary about the real life issues of mental illness and how people can be outcast from society, and should society be doing more to cater to people and care for individuals, was really lost in the final act, where we saw Arthur Fleck really just much more as a wannabe rock star and craving attention and celebrity appraisal. So I do hope there's a bit more depth here in terms of the relationship between the two, and it will be interesting to see how exactly they conclude the story. Will there be any further allusions to Batman as what we got with the first film, where we had the mention of Thomas and Martha Wayne, of course? Will the ending of the film show any precursors to Joker becoming much more of a psychotic supervillain and a chemical specialist, or will we just stay rooted to this much more pitiful character who does go on to suffer ongoing mental illness rather than becoming a notorious criminal within Gotham City? It will be interesting to see overall. When we get the second trailer, of course, we'll hope to get much more indication as to what the overall story is. But overall, I think as a trailer, I think it was fine. It done its job. I can see a lot of positive reaction online from this. So Warner Brothers will be very happy. And I'm sure that if it doesn't gross $1 billion like the first film, because I think the novelty would have worn off, I do think overall it will go on to be a massive success when the film releases later on this year. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings when talking about the first trailer for the Joker sequel, Joker Folie A Deux. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other further topics or movies or television series within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover, then also let me know within the comments, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.